Ethan had always thought exploration was about maps, measurements, and the thrill of discovering the unknown. But nothing had prepared him for Lyra. He first saw her at the edge of a forest, a place that shimmered in colors his human eyes struggled to name. The trees were taller than anything on Earth, their leaves glowing faintly under the twin suns. Birds, or at least creatures that looked like birds, glided silently through the air, their wings reflecting rainbow-like light, and there, standing beneath a luminous tree, was her. Lyra looked human enough at first glance, but the details betrayed her origin. Her eyes were larger, almost too expressive, with a depth that seemed to see through time itself. Her skin had a soft iridescence, shifting color slightly depending on the angle of light. When she smiled, it was both inviting and cautious, like someone offering a secret and testing whether it was safe to share it. Ethan had been assigned to this planet to study its unusual biosignatures, but Lyra was not on any map. She appeared almost as if summoned by his curiosity, a living puzzle he couldn't ignore. "Hello, human," she said, her voice melodic yet precise, a sound that seemed to vibrate gently in his mind as much as his ears. "I have observed you for some time. You are curious? You wish to know more?" Ethan swallowed, unsure if he should be alarmed or amazed. He had read reports of alien encounters, but they were all cautious, speculative, or tragic. This, however, was calm, deliberate, and strangely personal. I guess I am," Ethan replied. "I'm here to learn, to explore. But I've never met anyone like you." Lyra's smile deepened, though it was tinged with something he could not name. "Then perhaps you should see my home. There you will find knowledge that has been hidden from your kind for generations." The words sounded like an invitation, but also like a challenge. Ethan hesitated. He had heard warnings from his colleagues. Do not approach unknown alien settlements. Do not trust what you cannot understand. And above all, never let curiosity override caution. But he also knew that these warnings were born from fear, not insight. Humanity's greatest discoveries had always come from stepping forward when others hesitated. I'd like that," he finally said. His heart beat faster, not with fear, but with anticipation. Lyra inclined her head and turned, gliding gracefully between the glowing trees. Ethan followed, careful not to make a sound that might startle her. The path was soft beneath his boots, almost alive, as if the forest itself was aware of their passage. The strange plants leaned toward them, their leaves brushing lightly against his arms. The air smelled of warmth and something faintly metallic like rain on iron, yet comforting. After what felt like hours, but could have been minutes, the forest opened to a clearing. In the center stood a structure that defied all logic. It was a house, yet it seemed grown rather than built. Organic curves wove upward, intertwining with glowing filaments that pulsed with light. The walls shimmered with color, and the surface was smooth yet textured, like the inside of a seashell magnified. Small orbs floated gently around it, casting patterns of light that danced across the clearing. Ethan's breath caught. It's incredible." Lyra nodded. "It is our sanctuary. Enter if you are ready." He stepped closer, unsure if stepping inside would be a leap into danger or discovery. The doorway opened before he even reached it, as if recognizing his presence. A soft, warm light spilled out, inviting but overwhelming. Ethan swallowed and took a deep breath. The moment he crossed the threshold, he froze. The house was full of women. At least they appeared female, though their features were more alien than human. Their skin glowed faintly, their eyes large and expressive, and their movements were fluid, almost as if they were in rhythm with the house itself. They were everywhere, sitting on smooth, curved furniture, floating slightly above the floor, moving silently in ways that suggested communication beyond words. Their gaze settled on him the instant he entered, a mixture of curiosity, caution, and something else he couldn't identify. Lyra stepped forward and gestured gracefully. "Do not be afraid, Ethan. You are not here to harm. This is our home, and I have chosen to share it with you." He could only nod, unable to tear his eyes away from the scene. The sheer number of them, the quiet intelligence in every glance, made him feel both insignificant and privileged at the same time. Why are you all here?" he asked finally, his voice barely above a whisper. Lyra's expression softened. "We live together. Knowledge and life are shared among us. We protect each other and the wisdom we hold. For centuries we have remained hidden from the galaxy, because humans have not always been kind to that which they do not understand. Bats. Mats." Ethan felt a pang of guilt and hope simultaneously.
Humans were capable of both incredible cruelty and unimaginable courage.
Perhaps this encounter was a test of which side of humanity he represented. One of the women floated closer, her movement smooth and mesmerizing. She extended a hand, not in threat, but in greeting. "We have not seen your kind before," she said, her voice musical, yet layered with meaning. "You are different. You may teach us, as we may teach you." Ethan nodded again, more confidently this time. I want to learn. I want to understand." The alien women regarded him silently for a moment, and then the one called Lyra spoke again. "Then follow me. We will show you what it means to be part of our world, even if only briefly." She led him deeper into the house. The walls seemed alive, shifting in color and form as if breathing. Strange symbols floated in the air, changing as he watched, impossible to read but somehow familiar in their logic. Ethan realized that the house itself was not just a structure, but a living entity connected to its inhabitants in ways he could only begin to imagine. They entered a room that resembled a library, but it was unlike any library he had ever known. Books did not sit on shelves. Instead, knowledge floated in crystalline orbs, accessible through touch or thought. Lyra gestured to them. "Our minds are linked to these orbs. They contain not only information but experience. To touch them is to understand centuries of learning in moments." Ethan reached out hesitantly. The moment his fingers brushed the surface, a wave of images, sounds, and emotions washed over him. He saw planets forming, civilizations rising and falling, discoveries beyond human comprehension, all intertwined with the lives of these women. He stumbled back, overwhelmed. Lyra's voice calmed him. "Do not fear. This is the gift of knowledge. You will learn at your own pace. But first, you must understand why you were brought here. Humans have potential. Courage, curiosity, resilience. These traits are rare in the galaxy. We wish to see if you can embody them, to see if humans are worthy of trust."
Ethan felt a surge of pride and responsibility.
He had always believed in humanity's potential, even when others doubted it. Now, faced with an entire civilization judging him by his actions and character, he felt both exhilarated and terrified. Hours passed, or perhaps minutes. Time seemed different here. The alien women continued to observe him, some offering guidance, others watching silently. Ethan learned to communicate not just with words, but with intention and emotion. Feeling a connection that transcended species, he realized that these women, and perhaps Lyra in particular, were testing more than his intellect. They were testing his humanity. When he finally rested, he found himself in a room that opened to a balcony overlooking the forest. The twin suns were setting, casting a warm, golden glow over the landscape. Lyra appeared beside him. "You have done well to arrive here without fear," she said softly. "Many humans would flee, but you stayed. That courage is rare." Ethan looked at her, his mind still reeling from what he had seen. I want to understand more. I want to help, if I can. Lyra's gaze was piercing, yet gentle. Then prepare yourself, Ethan. The journey has only begun. To know us is to see both the beauty and the challenge of the galaxy. And to survive, you must be more than curious. You must be brave, compassionate, and wise. As the suns dipped below the horizon, Ethan felt a strange sense of calm. Fear had been replaced by wonder, and wonder by determination. Whatever lay ahead in this alien house filled with intelligent, mysterious women, he knew he would face it. Not as an intruder, but as a human capable of growth, learning, and perhaps even friendship. And somewhere deep inside, he realized that his life would never be the same. Ethan woke to a soft glow that filled the room, a light that seemed to pulse gently with the rhythm of his own heartbeat. The house was quiet now, the alien women resting in ways that defied gravity and expectation. He sat up slowly, his mind still buzzing from the previous day's revelations. Every corner of this place seemed alive, whispering secrets that he was only beginning to perceive. He stepped toward the doorway, and as he did, he froze again. The house was bigger than he had imagined. What had seemed like a few rooms yesterday expanded into vast chambers, winding corridors, and open spaces that glimmered with an inner light. The walls themselves shifted subtly, almost as if breathing, responding to his presence. He felt both awed and slightly overwhelmed. Lyra appeared beside him, her movement silent and graceful. "Do not be afraid," she said. "Many humans cannot understand our ways at first. The house is our companion, our protector, and our mirror. It reacts to thought, emotion, and intention. You must learn to walk within it as a friend, not a guest." Ethan nodded, unsure what that meant, but trusting her guidance. As they moved, he noticed other women beginning to stir. Some observed him curiously. Others whispered among themselves in a language he could not hear but could feel in his mind. There was a harmony to it, a rhythm he couldn't yet grasp, yet it made him feel part of something larger than himself. They entered a room filled with floating spheres, each glowing with soft colors and subtle movement. Lyra gestured to them. "These are memory spheres. They contain our experiences, our histories, our discoveries. Touch them only if you are ready to share in what they hold." Ethan reached out hesitantly. The moment his fingers brushed a sphere, his mind was flooded with visions. He saw cities built on water, civilizations traveling between stars, alien cultures whose understanding of physics and biology surpassed anything humans had imagined. He saw struggles, triumphs, alliances, and betrayals, all recorded in a way that was intimate, yet objective. He stumbled back, breathing heavily. "It's so much. I can't. It's too much at once." Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder, the contact gentle yet grounding. "It is not meant to overwhelm. Take what you can in your own time. The mind grows with exposure, but it must also rest."
Ethan nodded, realizing that learning here was not just about knowledge, it was about adaptation. The alien women moved around him, some observing, some offering silent encouragement.
Their presence was both intimidating and comforting, a reminder that he was a stranger in their world, yet not unwelcome. As he walked further into the house, he noticed something that made him pause. The women were not idle. They were engaged in complex tasks, creating, studying, communicating in ways that blended technology and biology seamlessly. One group appeared to be cultivating strange plants that glowed faintly. Others manipulated energy patterns that hovered in the air like liquid light. Each action was precise, purposeful, yet graceful. Ethan realized that this was a society unlike any human had ever encountered. It was not organized by hierarchy or dominance, but by contribution, understanding, and shared responsibility. Every woman had a role, and each role was respected, valued, and integrated into the whole. He felt a surge of admiration for their intelligence, their unity, and their foresight. Lyra noticed his gaze. Our society is built on trust and shared purpose. We do not compete as humans do. We collaborate. Each of us is part of a greater whole, and yet each of us retains individuality. That balance is what allows us to survive and thrive. Ethan absorbed her words, understanding that humanity had much to learn from this model. Humans often thrived on competition, innovation born of rivalry. But here he saw the power of harmony, of guided cooperation without the need for control or fear. They entered another chamber, one that felt alive in a different way. The walls shimmered like liquid glass, reflecting light and shadow in patterns that seemed to form and dissolve before his eyes. In the center, a circular platform hovered slightly above the floor. Lyra gestured for him to step onto it. This is the Convergence platform, she explained. Here we share thought, emotion, and experience directly. It is our deepest form of communication. If you are ready, it will allow you to understand us, not through words, but through essence.
Ethan hesitated, fear and curiosity warring within him.
Sharing thoughts directly with a species so alien was a daunting prospect. What if he could not keep up? What if he revealed something that could cause misunderstanding or mistrust? Lyra seemed to sense his hesitation. You need not fear. We will guide you. Our connection is not invasive. It is mutual. You control the depth of engagement. With a deep breath, Ethan stepped onto the platform. The moment he did, a wave of awareness swept through him. He felt the presence of the alien women around him, not just as individuals, but as a collective. Their emotions, intentions, and understanding flowed into him, not as words, but as sensations, images, and impulses. At first it was overwhelming, a torrent of information and feeling that made his head spin. Gradually, he began to discern patterns, the colony's priorities, their histories, their fears, and their hopes became clear. He felt their care for each other, their respect for life, their cautious optimism toward him. It was unlike anything he had ever experienced, a direct, unfiltered understanding of minds so different from his own. One presence stood out, Lyra. Her essence was calm, precise, and encouraging. Through her, he sensed patience, intelligence, and a quiet confidence that humans rarely exhibited in such a pure form. He realized that trust was not just given, but earned, and that he was being invited to earn it. Hours, or what felt like hours in human terms, passed. When Ethan finally stepped off the platform, he felt changed, not just in knowledge, but in perspective. He understood the depth of their society, the subtle balance of individuality and unity, and the profound intelligence that guided their every action. You have seen what we are capable of. You have felt our essence. Now you must understand your role. Humans are not our equals in every sense, but your potential is remarkable. Courage, creativity, resilience. These are traits we admire. If you can embody them, you will find a place here, not as a guest, but as a contributor. Ethan nodded, a mixture of pride and humility filling him. I want to learn. I want to help. I don't know how yet, but I'll try. Lyra smiled. Then, the next step will be practical. Theory and observation are valuable, but action defines character. You will see challenges, make decisions, and face tests that reveal what humans can offer. Do not underestimate the weight of small choices. In our world, they resonate far beyond the immediate moment. Before he could respond, another woman approached, her movements slower, more deliberate. We must show him our trust, she said, her voice carrying a note of caution. But he must also understand the responsibility it carries. If he fails, the consequences affect all of us. Lyra nodded. That is why he must learn gradually. Fear and awe are natural, but understanding comes through engagement. They led him to a chamber filled with plants that seemed to move subtly, responding to presence and thought. Some were familiar in shape, others alien in every sense, glowing with soft colors and emitting faint harmonic sounds. Lyra gestured to a particularly delicate specimen. This plant is crucial to our colony's survival. Its growth depends on precise conditions and careful attention. You will assist in its care. Your observations, insights, and adaptability will be tested. Ethan knelt beside the plant, feeling its energy subtly brush against his senses. He realized that even simple actions, watering, adjusting light, responding to changes, were deeply connected to the colony's well-being. Every decision had ripple effects, and every mistake could have consequences. As he worked, he felt the eyes of the alien women on him. Some observed silently, others offered subtle guidance, and a few communicated directly through thought. He realized that trust was fragile here, earned through diligence, empathy, and awareness. Hours passed in a strange mixture of activity and observation. Ethan learned to respond to subtle cues, anticipate needs, and act with precision. By the end of the day, the plant thrived, its glow stronger, its leaves more vibrant. The alien women around him nodded in approval, their expressions a mixture of satisfaction and cautious optimism. Lyra approached once more, her gaze steady. "You have done well today, but remember, this is only the beginning. Understanding our world is not a destination, it is a journey. Courage, wisdom, and empathy are the keys. You must continue to grow if you are to be truly welcome here." Ethan nodded, exhaustion and exhilaration battling within him. He had entered this house as a curious human, uncertain and cautious. Now he felt the beginnings of a connection, not just with Lyra, but with an entire society that operated on principles far beyond what he had known. As he rested that night, looking at the softly glowing walls and the sleeping forms of the alien women, he realized that fear had been replaced by wonder. The house was no longer intimidating. It was alive, inviting, and full of potential. And somewhere deep inside, he knew that humanity had a role to play here, not as conquerors or intruders, but as learners, collaborators, and perhaps friends. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new lessons, and new tests. But for now, Ethan allowed himself a moment of peace, feeling the pulse of the house, the presence of the alien women, and the quiet promise of discovery that stretched far beyond the walls of this extraordinary home. Ethan woke to the soft hum of the house once again. But today was different. He no longer felt like an outsider merely observing. He felt like a participant in a living, breathing world. The alien women were moving with quiet purpose, their actions coordinated in ways that suggested centuries of understanding each other. And now, they were including him. Lyra approached him first, her eyes calm but sharp. "Today," she said, "you will begin to learn through action, not observation. Knowledge is valuable, but understanding comes from participation. You will help maintain the colony, assist in research, and demonstrate the traits that define humans: creativity, courage, and empathy." Ethan nodded, a mixture of excitement and nervousness stirring in him. He had learned much in the past days, but now he would truly be tested. They led him to a large chamber that glowed with soft, shifting light. In its center was a complex array of devices intertwined with organic structures, pulsating softly as though alive. "This is a project that requires insight from multiple minds," Lyra explained. "We call it the lattice. It regulates energy flow throughout the house and supports our ecosystem. But it is sensitive. It responds not only to thought, but to emotion. You will help us stabilize it." Ethan stepped closer, studying the network of luminous strands. At first it seemed incomprehensible, a chaotic weave of light and energy that defied any logical structure he knew. Yet when he reached out and focused, he felt subtle patterns, pulses of logic hidden within the chaos. It was as if the lattice was alive, seeking cooperation rather than control. One of the alien women floated toward him, her presence calming. "Trust your instincts," she said. "Do not impose force. Influence, guide, and listen. That is how it will respond." Ethan closed his eyes, letting his hands hover over the strands. He concentrated, sensing the flow, imagining the connections between points, understanding how changes in one part affected another. Slowly, the strands responded. Colors shifted, pulsing in harmony with his thoughts. The alien women observed silently, their expressions a mixture of encouragement and analysis. Hours passed, or so it seemed. Ethan adjusted, redirected, and corrected. Small mistakes caused subtle disruptions, but each time he recovered, learning from both the lattice and the silent feedback of the colony. By the end of the session, the device pulsed steadily, perfectly balanced, and the alien women acknowledged his contribution. "You have insight," Lyra said. "You are learning not just our methods, but the importance of patience, observation, and intention. Humans have much to offer when they respect the world around them." Ethan smiled, feeling a growing sense of pride. He was beginning to see that his species' strength lay not only in curiosity, but in the ability to adapt, to think creatively when confronted with the unknown. Later, he was led to a chamber filled with plants that seemed to react to the slightest touch. Some glowed faintly, others hummed with energy.
"These plants are delicate," Lyra explained.
"They are integral to our survival. You must nurture them and understand their needs." Ethan approached cautiously. The alien women demonstrated, showing subtle gestures and mental cues that guided the growth and health of the plants. At first, he struggled. He watered incorrectly, misread a plant's response, and even caused one to wilt slightly. He felt frustration and guilt, but Lyra's calm presence reminded him to focus and learn. Over time, he adjusted. He learned to anticipate the plant's needs, to react intuitively, to care without overstepping. Slowly, the plants responded, thriving under his guidance. The alien women nodded with approval, recognizing the effort, patience, and empathy he demonstrated. "You are learning more than technique," Lyra said. "You are learning to understand life itself. That is the essence of being human, and why we observe your species with such interest." As the day progressed, Ethan noticed a subtle tension among some of the alien women. Not all were immediately accepting of his presence. A few hovered silently, their eyes sharp, watching every move. They seemed to question his intentions, as though testing his integrity. He realized that trust here was not given freely. It had to be earned through consistent action and ethical choices. An incident arose when a young alien accidentally damaged part of the lattice. Chaos rippled through the chamber as energy pulses fluctuated, threatening the stability of the entire system. Some of the alien women reacted with alarm, while others froze, unsure how to intervene. Ethan acted instinctively. He reached out, guided by both observation and intuition. His hands moved with precision, adjusting connections, stabilizing energy flows, and restoring balance. The pulses steadied, and the danger passed. Lyra observed him with quiet satisfaction. "You acted with courage and clear thought under pressure. That is a rare quality. Humans are often reckless, but when guided by conscience and intelligence, they are formidable." Ethan felt a thrill of accomplishment, but also a deeper understanding. This was more than a test of skill. It was a test of character. In this world, decisions carried weight beyond immediate consequences. Every action resonated through the colony, through the lattice, and through the life that depended on it. Later, as he rested in a chamber filled with soft light, Lyra joined him. "You have learned much," she said, "but there is a greater challenge approaching. Our society, though strong, is vulnerable to forces beyond our control. Humans outside this house, your species, may seek to exploit what we protect. You will see why understanding, empathy, and courage are essential not only to survive, but to protect." Ethan listened carefully, understanding the gravity of her words. He had always known humanity had flaws: greed, conflict, and short-sightedness, but he also knew humans could rise above them. This was his chance to show that potential. The next day, he was invited to a gathering of the entire colony. Hundreds of alien women filled a vast chamber, their eyes focused on him. It was both awe-inspiring and intimidating. He realized that their observation was not just about him. It was about the potential of humans in general. They were judging whether his species could be trusted, whether they were worthy of collaboration. Lyra spoke first. "We have watched him closely. He is learning our ways, demonstrating thoughtfulness, creativity, and courage. Yet, one day, he will face choices that test not only his intelligence, but his humanity. We will observe. The future of this connection depends on the outcome." Ethan stepped forward, feeling the weight of their scrutiny. He realized that his actions here could define not only his own destiny, but the way humans were perceived by an advanced civilization. Fear tried to creep in, but he pushed it aside. Humanity's potential was what he had come to believe in, and now he had a chance to prove it. The day was filled with exercises in collaboration. The alien women presented problems, environmental challenges, complex energy patterns, and ethical dilemmas that required him to think creatively. Some scenarios tested his quick decision-making, others his patience and moral judgment. He discovered that humans had an unexpected advantage, the ability to improvise, to think outside the constraints of highly ordered systems. While the aliens approached problems methodically, Ethan's intuition often suggested solutions that surprised even him. When successful, the colony responded with admiration, a subtle acknowledgement that humans were not inferior but complementary. Lyra observed closely, noting each success and misstep. "Your species' strength is not uniformity or perfection," she said. "It is resilience, creativity, and the courage to act when uncertain. That is what we value." By the end of the day, Ethan had grown not only in knowledge, but in confidence. He understood that being human was not a limitation. It was a potential to be realized. Courage, empathy, ingenuity, and moral responsibility were qualities the aliens could respect and learn from as well. That night, he stood on a balcony overlooking the glowing forest. He thought about the alien women he had met, the society he was learning to navigate, and the challenges that lay ahead. Humanity's story was just beginning, even in the far reaches of space, and he felt a profound sense of purpose. Lyra joined him silently, her presence a comforting balance to the overwhelming scope of his thoughts. "You have done well, Ethan," she said softly. "Tomorrow you will face tests that go beyond skill or understanding. You will face dilemmas that challenge your values, your courage, and your ability to protect. Remember, we are watching not only what you do, but why you do it. That is the measure of character." Ethan nodded, feeling the weight of her words. He had grown so much in a short time, yet he knew this was only the beginning. There were forces beyond the house, beyond the forest, that could threaten this fragile trust, and he would have to rise to meet them, not just as a human, but as a representative of all his kind. As the twin suns set once more, painting the sky in shades of gold and violet, Ethan felt a quiet determination. The alien women had welcomed him into their world, but they had also set a standard. Humanity's potential was being measured, and he would not fail. He would demonstrate that curiosity, courage, and compassion were not just traits of individuals. They were the essence of what it meant to be human. And deep within the house, the living walls pulsed gently, as if in agreement. The colony had accepted him as more than an observer. He was now a participant, a test of humanity itself, and a bridge between worlds. Ethan understood that the coming days would demand everything he had learned and more, but he also knew one undeniable truth. Humans had the capacity to rise, to adapt, and to achieve greatness, even in the face of beings far older, wiser, and more advanced. He breathed deeply, feeling the pulse of the house, the silent watch of the colony, and the quiet promise that his journey was only beginning. Ethan awoke to an unusual tension in the air. The house hummed more loudly than usual, a low vibration that seemed to resonate in his chest. The alien women moved with purpose, but their calm was replaced by urgency. Something was approaching, something beyond the forest, beyond the protective influence of the house itself. Lyra appeared beside him, her eyes sharp. "A human faction has detected our presence. They seek to exploit our knowledge and our resources. If they succeed, it could mean the end of the colony." Ethan's heart sank. He had known that humans were capable of curiosity and courage, but he also knew their history of greed and fear. How can we stop them?" he asked. Lyra's gaze softened, yet remained resolute. "We will not fight with violence if we can avoid it. But strategy, ingenuity, and courage will be necessary. You, Ethan, must help us navigate this challenge. Your species' strengths are needed: improvisation, quick thinking, and moral judgment." The words weighed heavily on him. He was no soldier, no tactician. Yet the colony trusted him to represent humanity. He took a deep breath, recalling all he had learned: the lattice, the plants, the subtle ways the colony responded to thought and intention. "I'll do everything I can," he said, his voice steady. The first human scouts appeared on the edge of the forest, small vessels gliding silently over the ground. Ethan observed them through the living walls, seeing their mechanical precision, but also their predictable thinking. They assumed the colony would respond like humans, defensively, aggressively, or out of fear. They did not anticipate collaboration with an intelligence that combined thought, empathy, and foresight. Lyra gathered the alien women. "We will protect ourselves. The humans will learn that wisdom, not brute force, is the measure of strength. Ethan, guide us." Ethan stepped forward, the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. He instructed the colony to synchronize their energy fields, using the lattice to create illusions of movement and misdirection. They projected lights and shadows that made the forest appear alive with shifting shapes, confusing the human scouts. Ethan coordinated with the colony's thought patterns, anticipating their reactions and adjusting the illusions in real time. The humans hesitated, unsure of what they were witnessing. Their scanners showed inconsistent readings. Their sensors picked up life signs that seemed to multiply and move unpredictably. The colony used the house itself, subtly shifting corridors and walls to conceal entrances, while guiding the humans into dead ends and isolated clearings. Ethan marveled at the alien women's precision and ingenuity. Their society was not built for combat, yet they were able to defend themselves effectively by thinking collectively and creatively. Humanity's role, he realized, was to bring adaptability, thinking beyond programmed logic, predicting reactions, improvising solutions. The first direct confrontation came when a human drone attempted to breach the main chamber. Ethan directed the energy fields, creating a barrier of light and vibration that stopped the machine without damaging it. The alien women moved together, using subtle waves of energy to disable sensors and communication systems. Ethan realized that trust between species, careful guidance, and strategic thinking could neutralize threats without bloodshed. Lyra approached him briefly. "You have done well, but now comes the test of ethics. The humans may retreat, or they may escalate. You must decide how far to influence outcomes without betraying your own principles." Ethan considered this carefully. He could use the lattice to manipulate the humans more aggressively, potentially stopping them completely, but at the cost of trust and moral integrity. Instead, he chose precision and restraint, guiding the humans away, revealing only what was necessary to protect the colony. By nightfall, the threat had retreated, the humans confused and cautious. Ethan and the colony had succeeded without violence. The alien women's eyes reflected pride and relief. Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. "You have demonstrated courage, intelligence, and ethics. You have acted with humanity at its best. Ethan felt a surge of accomplishment, but also humility. He had not acted alone. The alien women's cooperation, insight, and trust had made the difference. Yet he knew that humans had played a unique role: the spark of improvisation, the courage to act when the outcome was uncertain, the moral compass that guided every decision. The following days were filled with reflection and preparation. The colony fortified their defenses not with weapons, but with improved energy systems, strategic illusions, and protective growths of bioluminescent plants that could alert them to intrusion. Ethan helped coordinate these efforts, teaching the colony ways to anticipate human actions while also respecting their ethical framework. During quiet moments, he walked with Lyra through the glowing gardens, discussing philosophy, ethics, and the potential of humanity. "Your species has flaws," she said, "but also remarkable potential. We have observed humans for millennia, often with caution, but you have shown us that courage, creativity, and empathy can bridge worlds." Ethan smiled. "I think humans are capable of more than we often realize. We can do incredible things when we work together and act with conscience." Lyra's eyes softened. "You have proven it. And now, a choice awaits. You may return to your people and carry the knowledge and perspective you have gained. Or you may stay here as part of our society, a bridge between your species and ours." The question weighed heavily. Ethan thought of Earth, of humanity struggling with conflicts and fear, yet capable of brilliance. He realized that staying would allow him to continue learning and guide others toward cooperation and understanding. Yet returning would let him share the lesson of humanity's potential, proving that humans could rise to challenges without greed or destruction. He took a deep breath, looking out over the glowing forest. I want to help both worlds," he said finally. "I want to show humans what is possible, but I also want to honor the trust you've given me. I'll do both." Lyra nodded. "Then your path is clear. You are part of this world now, but not at the expense of your own. Your choices will shape the future, not just for humans, but for our shared understanding." Ethan spent the following weeks bridging gaps between the colony and human explorers who were curious, but cautious. Using insight gained from living with the alien women, he taught restraint, observation, and ethical decision-making. He demonstrated that humanity could act with intelligence and compassion, and slowly, the humans began to respect the colony instead of seeking to exploit it. The alien women observed with quiet satisfaction. They saw humanity's spark mirrored in Ethan's actions: courage, adaptability, and ethical choice. They understood that humans, while flawed, were capable of greatness when guided by conscience and curiosity. One evening, Ethan stood in the main chamber, watching the house pulse gently with life. The alien women moved gracefully, tending to tasks and each other, communicating with thought and emotion in harmony. He realized that this society, though alien, reflected the potential of humans: cooperation, creativity, empathy, and courage. Humanity in its best form could rise to meet the unknown and build bridges across worlds. Lyra approached, her presence calm and grounding. "You have done what few humans could. You have faced fear, uncertainty, and moral dilemmas. And you have shown that courage and conscience can prevail. You are a bridge between species, a proof of potential." Ethan nodded, feeling the weight of her words. "I never imagined I'd find this understanding, this connection. But I see now that humans can be more than what we often are. We can learn, adapt, and rise to challenges that seem impossible." Lyra smiled. "And now that potential is not theoretical. It is proven. The colony is safe, and humanity's possibilities are clearer, not just in your world, but across the stars." As the twin suns set once more, Ethan looked around the house that had once frozen him in awe. Now it was a home, a place of learning trust, and collaboration. He realized that he was no longer merely a visitor. He was part of something larger, a bridge between worlds, a symbol of humanity at its finest. The alien women gathered around him, their eyes reflecting trust and respect. They had taught him much, but he had also shown them something: that humans could rise to meet challenges with courage, intelligence, and ethical responsibility. Ethan knew that the future would bring new challenges, new discoveries, and new opportunities for humanity to prove itself. But for now, he felt a quiet certainty. Humanity could thrive not just through strength, but through wisdom, compassion, and the courage to act rightly even when fear and uncertainty pressed close. And as he stood there, in a house that breathed, pulsed, and lived, surrounded by alien women who had once seemed untouchable, he felt hope, not just for himself, but for all humans who might one day reach beyond their world, guided by curiosity, courage, and conscience. The journey had begun as a test, but it had become something far greater, a vision of what humanity could be, mirrored in a society both alien and familiar, a home where trust, intelligence, and courage created a future worth fighting for. Ethan smiled. The stars stretched endlessly above, but he no longer felt small or insignificant. Humans had potential, and he was living proof. The house, the colony, and Lyra had shown him that the universe was vast, mysterious, and full of possibility. But with courage, empathy, and intelligence, humanity could rise to meet it. And with that thought, he stepped forward, ready to embrace whatever came next.